Trick, what it do?
Drew Dubes, what up, fella?
Friday, May 13th. Friday the 13th over here in Madrid.
Friday the 13th over here in Detroit as well.
Let's hope our luck is good. Welcome to the Pass First Hoops Cast. I'm Drew.
What's up? I'm Pat.
Bringing you more information about the Pistons, and we got a special episode today. What are we doing today?
Taking our licks.
In the previous two episodes, we talked about times where some of our favorite moments, and something came up that we actually took a lot of licks this year.
A lot of them.
Yeah, what do you mean taking our licks?
These are games that we didn't win. We either got destroyed in them or we lost like heartbreakers at the buzzer.
The games we're covering today were all heartbreaking losses.
True licks. It's like, how are you going to respond from something like this?
Exactly, and we responded well, and even these type of games, these games that are considered clutch games, which are under 5 minutes, the teams are within 5 points, we were actually 25-17 in these games.
Almost to see this kind of a loss was rare, so it was impressive to see how they bounced back from it.
Yeah, so you want to hop in? What's our first one?
Yeah, this first one was a mid-November game in L.A., an early season game, the Clips.
An afternoon tip. We had started 5-1, and we're in the midst of our West Coast road trip, and we had started losing some games, and then we went into Los Angeles. Blake and Jamal Crawford kind of had their way with us. They went to work. Blake had 34 points, 9 assists. Crawford coming in with 37 and 8 assists.
Those 9 assists for Blake are wild. I remember him kind of just facilitating this whole game. They were just playing through him.
They didn't have Chris Paul or JJ Redick, so we're thinking we might be able to swipe one.
Yeah, it's nice not to have those two guys, big-time scorers. This should be our game.
But little did we know Blake and Jamal would combine for 71 points total, 17 assists. I would say that's at least, if they're not assisting to each other, like 85 of 101 points.
I'd say so. And, Jamal getting the rare start. Dude never starts, and he just goes crazy.
What do you remember about this game?
I was pumped up because obviously no Chris, no JJ. So you're thinking, all right, like we'd go steal one on the road in LA. And for like the first half of the game here, we were actually kind of rolling. It felt like we were right there, but then they kind of just snagged it from us.
Yeah, we went into halftime up 9 points, and then that completely went away in the third quarter. They outscored us by 10.
I remember Drummond was playing like a beast. They could not stop him, and that's on DeAndre Jordan, who was also beasting himself. They were kind of just beating each other up.
Yeah, DeAndre 10 and 16 in this one.
A great defensive center as well. So it was impressive to see Dre battle with him because he's a good player and he's been, around and he's pretty seasoned. So this was early for Dre, and this was, when he was going through his like pure league domination.
Absolute domination. And this one, 18 and 19. Just a fun outing. Really, out to prove something early in this season, which was cool to see.
I think it was kind of a heartbreaker almost in a way, but at the same time, I think it was good for us to take it. So that, taking of a lick.
Taking the lick. We did have a chance to tie it, and KCP got a decent look from three when we were down 3.
I thought it was a pretty good look.
Yeah, just airballed it, but it's a good look. And
it's okay, though. It's kind of that kind of a night, and I can't really think of any other time KCP has taken the game-winning shot, so that was probably an interesting moment for him.
Yeah, it might have been his first time having a go at that, and then in one of our favorite moments, he airballed again, but the other time, Dre was there to clean it up for the win over Milwaukee.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was huge. What's interesting, maybe this early airball helped him shoot a better airball at that shot.
Right, a more precisely aimed airball.
A more efficient airball that he knew the big fella could clean up.
He knew they'd expect the airball. In terms of how we responded, we went the next night, came back to the Staples Center, and just lost a brutal one to the Lakers. A very boring game.
I knew there was no way we were going to beat the Lake Show after we dropped this one. It was tough for the fellas. They should have won this one.
Yeah, but then we came home 2 nights later and took down the Cavs in Detroit, and that was nice.
Yeah, we liked the Palace. I was at that game.
Really? You were at that first Cavs game?
I was.
Yeah, it seemed that game and the game after, Drummond stepped up. He averaged 23 points, 14 and a half rebounds over the next 2 games, which were wins.
You look at these box scores through the early season, and his numbers are just boggling.
Carrying us, put in tons of work in the offseason. Unfortunately, didn't have time to get to free throws, but we're not even in any of these games without the stuff that he does out there.
I know. Gets in the gym this summer, works on those frees, stays loose, He's going to come back and He could surprise some people. He could turn it up another level.
I think he goes over 60% from the line this year. I wonder if there's a Vegas bet for that.
I'm sure we could find something on Andre's free throw shooting. If Dre went 60%, we would have a party in, like, the city.
Yeah, we'd have a parade after the season.
The interesting part about that is we don't have to talk on it, but if they change that rule, that 60% is probably pretty. He could get there maybe.
In times where the mental battle of being intentionally fouled is not there.
Drake can do it. He's got it there. He's got a pretty nice release if you look at it. It's not like it doesn't look broken. It's not like the Shaq teetering over the line, about to get a call for their foot on the line kind of shot.
Right. It's just about the repetition of that motion. Shaq didn't have any sort of smoothness.
Right. Well, if you've seen DeAndre, he's got a really tough motion as well from the free throw line.
Yeah. Next up in the order of timeline, we had a Wednesday, December 9th, home loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, 93-92.
This was probably the toughest loss I had to take. Like, when this one hit, this was the most brutal.
You are a big Detroit Lions guy, and this was 6 days after the Hail Mary, the Packers-Lions Hail Mary, so... Yeah,
I was already in a really rough spot mentally that week.
Vulnerable Detroit sports fans, for sure.
We were having a tough week. There's no doubt about that. And then to kind of top it off with this whole deal.
Let's back up. We're up 13 points midway through the third, just kind of cruising over a decent Grizzlies team.
At the time, a very good Grizzlies team.
Yeah.
We were rolling, too. We were playing really well in this game.
They had all their fellas. Gasol was playing despite some ankle issues.
Right, they were healthy. A totally different Grizzlies team than the one that showed up as the 7th seed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Unbelievable, that limp job into the playoffs.
So, in this game, what happened here? Let's just go through the last parts of it.
Reggie misses a shot. They get the rebound, and Matty Barnes kind of rolls up to center there and hoists a runner off 1 foot with some time to spare. Like, he could have taken a few more dribbles and got a much better look. We're up 2. He just drills it with 1.1 left on the clock.
Yeah, for there to still be a second left on the clock after a half-court shot can go in.
Like, for those who don't know who Matt Barnes is, just look him up after this episode.
Yeah, go ahead and
you'll understand why, and and then watch this play after. He just looks like he knew it was down immediately, dude.
I've never seen an NBA player look that uncoordinated while doing something like that, too. It did not look pretty. Oh, my God.
It was, kind of in traffic. It was a weird shot.
They had 3 timeouts, and our guy, David Yorger, opts not to use one.
Not surprised there for Dave, to be honest. And, when the ball's in Matty's hands...
Right. That's the guy you want taking that shot.
So, I'm calling it the Half Court Runner Debacle. I couldn't believe it.
Indeed.
On ESPN, they're showing Andre at halftime, and he's shooting jumpers, I remember, and he's drilling them at halftime. That was his warm-up.
No kidding.
And then they're this is a sign of things to come, or foreshadowing or something, and then their highlight is Matty Barnes drilling it.
Teasing us like that.
And you're are you kidding me?
This is our second loss by 1 or 2 points of the season, and 2 of our 3 home losses up to this point in the season were these type of games where we lost by only 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, just gut checks.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, to be up, we were up 5 with 1:40 left, just kind of letting it slip right through.
Once again, a game where we played really well, even in the third quarter. This was not a third quarter breakdown, and they kind of just came back on us in the fourth there, and it was brutal. You kind of saw them coming the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, Matty's hitting the half court.
Next thing you know, there's a scrum around the rim, and there's Matty.
Yeah.
And of all the guys, I've always kind of been weirdly intrigued with Matty.
Matty's a tough one because I've hated him a bunch in his career, but I've also loved him a lot.
We forget that he was also awesome on those early Warrior teams with Baron Davis and those guys.
Yeah, that's where he really made a name for himself.
Yeah, that was when he started off, and, he had 11 rebounds in this game.
He does it all, and this is a guy he's a free agent now, so...
Wow, he's 36 years old.
He's 36. He's been around since 2002.
Averaged 10 and 5 this year. I think he's trending upwards as his career moves on.
I think
at an older age. Look at that. Last 2 years, he's averaged double figures.
Amazing.
Almost the last 4 years, actually. Wow. Forgot. He was good in LA, too.
Yeah, he has. I mean, honestly, for the last 6 years, he has been known as someone who can hit the three, D up the other team's best wing,
definitely
and get in the head of the opponent.
A UCLA Bruin, Matty. Well, I'm glad it was him, I guess. But, Memphis did come back in this game. They had the big boys played pretty well, both Mark and Zach. They they were rebounding hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot for Dre to handle down there.
Mm-hmm. Those guys are gonna do that to anyone.
Yeah,
so.
And you saw it. I mean, this was at a time, and we'll see this moving forward with Tobias and how he handles teams that have two bigs like this, but Ilyasova's offensive game was really affected by this. He only had 7 points, 1 of 4 from deep.
Yeah, it's interesting that he struggled because, he's a stretch kind of guy, and getting Zach out to the three-point line, you would think, right, would be...
Right.
But, you look at these minutes, and, maybe they had, Maddie guarding him, or Jeff Green. I remember going into this game, and I was highly intrigued because it was an early December game and whatnot. I'm like, I wonder if SVG is going to pop in Baines and Drummond together on these two guys.
Oh, that could have been fun.
Yeah, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, not so much. But let's see how next year unfolds. Baines has proven he's pretty athletic. He can move laterally pretty well. So we'll see.
Yeah, he can. We like Baines a lot.
Big on Baines. Hey. So we've been getting a lot of feedback from people about, we say stan a lot. There's a lot of stans in our lives.
I used SVG, if you guys could notice earlier on.
Right. So we're working on it. We're going to SVG and Stanley to differentiate. But we thought in the name of feedback, we could introduce a new segment called
Impactful Stans.
Pat, it's your week. What do we got?
Stanley Red Wine.
Red wine?
This guy, dude, is an absolute stud. He's the head coach right now at the University of Kansas for the track and field squad, both girls and boys.
Yes.
He was also a competitor himself. He was a 4-time All-American at Arkansas. He won the Outstanding Player 4 years in a row. So, as a freshman, he's just, the best guy on the squad.
Oh, my.
He's an absolute legend. His coaching resume is unbelievable. He has a national championship in the girls' track and field, which is one of my favorite things about him. He coaches both girls and boys. It's wild. He has a son, also named Stan.
And when you have that first name, how can you not choose it if you have a son?
Everything I've read about him is he's a real respectful person, and he's done it the right way. And that's kind of what we're looking for with Impactful Stans. I'm a big coach guy.
Marcus Morris, as a former Kansas Jayhawk, what his relationship is with this particular Stan Redwine.
I would bet he knows him. I mean, this guy's produced 153 All-Americans. He's literally done everything you could ever want to do in, the track and field.
That's his realm, and that's our Impactful Stan.
It's like a nice red wine.
Smooth and correct. Next episode, it will be my turn for an Impactful. Let's keep on going through it here. We got another matchup with the Clippers here.
We had to bring it back.
December 14th, a Monday night game, a 105-103 overtime loss to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Even tougher than the first time around at the Palace.
Grant Hill was in the building, a conflicted onlooker as he played for both teams.
Grant, someone who, has done his thing, and he was good to us.
It could be argued as the reason that me and you are doing this podcast right now. He's my favorite player growing up for a while.
No doubt about it. Everyone knew Big 33.
In this game, Chris Paul and J.J. Redick were back, and particularly J.J. really let us know that he was back. He had a big game-tying three. This was after they hacked Dre. We were up by 2, and they hacked Dre. Dre hit 1 of 2. And then JJ came right back for a game-tying 3 in regulation.
Yeah, that was tough. That took us to OT, right?
Yeah.
JJ just drilled it.
For them, it was a really pretty occurrence. It was not good for us, though.
Chris Paul was firing on all cylinders in this one when he gets his 12 dimes going. Nice pass.
Bad shooting night, but to have 12 assists, it's very Chris Paul.
Right. I'm surprised he shot that much.
Yeah, 6 of 16, not so hot.
And then Blake again took it right to us, no problem.
It's a tough matchup for Ilyasova.
Right. This is pre-Tobias. We have almost a totally different defensive scheme with Tobias.
A lot more switching with Marcus.
Tons of switches. I think we play a lot harder D.
Yeah, so this was another one. We were up 5 with a minute and a half to go and just let it slip away and then went into overtime.
That was what was killer. This game, we just had this game. We're just going to win this game. The fourth was tough. We actually made a nice little fourth run there, and then they we took it from them. Then they took it back, brought us to overtime. It was tough.
Yeah, that took a lot of resolve by them. This was their 5th game of a 5-game road trip. It would have been easy to just bounce out. Baines in this game had an awesome one-handed dunk. He was below the basket and the ball was on the ground.
Yeah.
He bent over to pick it up and then he just slammed it with one hand over Wesley Johnson, just right off 2 feet.
Wesley Johnson. And Baines will do that, man. He will surprise you sometimes and do something you're like, wow, that guy's really got some nice game.
Some of these Clippers lineups that we saw at the beginning of the season, Josh Smith is in the mix. Lance Stevenson was out there. Paul Pierce getting plenty of run.
Yeah, Jay Smoove out there a little bit. Our guys played well, especially Reggie and Dre. Those guys played really well in this game. Really, really sad to see it result in the way it did.
Yeah, Reggie came to play.
Yeah, Reggie got to the line, man. He was living at the line.
14 of 16 from the line, and some ones down the stretch, too.
He always gets to the line down the stretch. I love it. And he's so solid.
His clutch numbers, so, within 5 minutes and the game's close, he was shooting something like 90% from the line. And
good for him. That's the guy we want with the ball. That's what we're going to do. KCP was good in this one as well. We don't get much from Marcus and Urson. Ilyasova. Yeah, we didn't get much from those guys in this one, especially Urson, man. Did he get hurt? To say 20 minutes in the OT game. Like, what? I do see Tolliver here for 33, so I guess that makes sense.
That's got to be a season high for Tolly.
Tolly was Tolly had 6 boards, plus 10 for the big fella.
Check him out, Springfield, Missouri's finest.
Anthony.
So yeah, Dre had a rough time in this. In overtime, he gambled. He went for a steal that ended up leading to a wide open Crawford 3, which was the dagger.
That was a tough time. I mean, you can't fault the guy for his effort, but you wonder if he could have held back on that.
Right. Stan Van Gundy was very disappointed at the time.
SVG, yeah, he didn't love the fact that Dre like it. Took the gamble. SVG is not trying to gamble away anything here. This guy is strictly operating on calculated risks.
Right. Yeah. So Obama was able to meet with SVG and Arn Tellem, who's with our organization as well. And they were able to meet while Obama was in Flint. And I wanted to ask you, who do you think was most pumped to meet the other person?
For me personally, obviously, I would assume that Barack was fired up to meet SVG. But you also know that SVG was like, all right, yeah, we'll chat it out with Obama here. This will be fun. And who wouldn't be fired up to meet the president? But meeting someone like SVG.
I think Obama could have spent so much time with both of those guys. Just Arn Tellem's history is representing so many big-time players as an agent, and then SVG's path and coaching in the Heat and stuff. I think Obama could have picked their brain for hours.
I bet he wanted to. He loves basketball.
Back to this, after we lost this another heartbreaker, the Clip, we won versus Boston. We won at Chicago, the 4 overtime game, and then we went on the road to Miami and beat them.
This one is like the true meaning of taking your licks.
An exact
you take this lick, and then you just respond. You just keep going. You bounce right back like it didn't happen.
Right. Beat 3 teams that we really needed to beat. And the Miami win, especially on the road, we had just demolished them at the Palace, 104-81 the previous month. And to go on the road, that's a trap kind of revenge game, and get that win is really cool.
I remember early on, I was thinking to myself, like, man, we can roll Miami.
Yeah, and we started out hot against them, and then late in the season, they took 2 quick ones over us in April. But
yeah, when they added Joe Johnson, they kind of started rolling there, which is interesting. Developed the rookies.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Josh Richardson and
our guy Josh.
Comfortable, yeah. Our fella Josh coming at you.
Something I forgot to say when SVG and Barack Obama were speaking, they were talking about Stanley Johnson.
Really?
That was that was one of the things that Barack really noted, how much he liked Stanley Johnson.
Okay.
A basketball mind, obviously, seeing that right off the bat, not surprised.
Right, real recognized real.
So that was cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Anything else about this game before we kind of wrap up?
Anytime you go into overtime, it's going to be tough, and I think maybe it almost felt like a win for us and got us rolling because we did play very well in this game against a really good team.
2 games before this was the crazy Matt Barnes half quarter, so you really should have beaten those 2 pretty good teams.
Yeah, like very solid Western Conference squads. You're thinking, all right, this Pistons squad is like a top 5 squad in this league.
Mm-hmm. This left us at 14-12, and we will pick up on more licks next time. Let's cut it right there for the licks. I've got a couple stat boys, though, if you're interested.
I'm always interested.
So let's hit on Andre real quick.
Big dog.
The past 3 years, including this year now, he has led the league in offensive rebounds.
3 years in a row, huh?
3 years in a row, and 2 of the years it was by over 100 offensive rebounds total. So just demolishing the competition.
So there is no competition.
There is none, no. This has not been done since Dennis Rodman.
Oh, wow.
He did it 4 years in a row, starting in 1990, and the first 3 years of that were on the Pistons. So this hasn't been done since another Piston. And then, crazily enough, our guy Moses Malone did this many times. But he did
I was going to say his name, dude.
You should have said Moses. This is crazy. I've never seen something like this type of longevity. He was in the ABA in 1974-75. He led the ABA in offensive rebounds. 15 years later, 1989-1990, Moses Malone again led in offensive rebounds, and this time in the NBA.
Guy's staying fresh. That's impressive, you know? That's a lot like Matty here in the last 4 years, having a nice go in his career.
Right, Matty just getting better with age.
I guess rebounding is kind of an art, and as you get older, you might become wiser to what it takes to really box out and do the basics.
What do you think Andre is going to keep this up, or do you think he's going to taper off as his role might change and we have other guys that can rebound?
Good question. When you say taper off, like, I don't think, to the point of like a Dwight, obviously. I think Andre needs to just keep being aggressive and being our main guy and doing what he does, and he needs to not let things affect him, like the free throw shooting, and not think about necessarily even scoring numbers. Just go out there and be aggressive. Mm-hmm. And do what it takes to do the dirty work for us. Be our big fella. Work maybe study defensively the rotations and whatnot that it takes to play in the defense. Get really really solid on defense. Contribute everywhere.
Yeah, I think biggest improvements this offseason. I think he'll come out next year with more blocks for sure.
Definitely needs to control the glass maybe a little bit more. If you're nitpicking, but the blocks are glamorous. So everyone wants to block.
That's true.
Maybe get that hook shot going from everywhere, because that's his big shot. Just really master that and be able to go to that at all times. Because who's going to block that? Nobody.
Be able to have that easy bucket, and then he draws double teams, kicks out. It just creates for everyone when we have shooters around.
Right, like maybe overall court sense. Maybe he's work on his handle a little bit more. He's actually got a good handle, so that's something that not many bigs like him have, and he can use that to his advantage.
Some ISOs up top for Dre.
Why not?
One more thing on Dre, as I'm looking up some of his stats on NBA.com and stuff, it says this year's league leaders for rebounds and points and assists and stuff, and it has the player's picture. And so Andre led the league in rebounds, which amazing, again, offensive rebounds as well, but his picture is him at the free throw line.
Oh my gosh. I'm about to pull this up just because I want to see it.
Can't catch a break. We're looking at this.
Why would they do that?
This all-world rebounder, and now ESPN has done this, and NBA.com.
I mean, it's fine. They can do this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, he doesn't need that.
Right.
Who's popping in that picture and being like, good, you got to make sure to put Andre Drummond on the free throw line in this picture?
It's curious.
Someone trying to get a laugh
Indeed.
At Andre's expense.
Hey, all the more inspiration. All right, anything else you want to hit on?
That 3-year offensive rebound stat with Andre is something I think is going to really stick in everybody's head. That's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. I've got a couple stats like this in the wings that I've been waiting to pull out. Pass First Hoops Cast. This has been Drew.
This has been Pat.
Hit us up on Twitter at Pass First Hoops, on Instagram at Pass First Hoopscast. Engage with us there, or toss us an email, passfirstmedia@gmail.com.
Write one up.
Always hoping for feedback, so...
No doubt.
And part 2 of this episode, Taking Our Licks, we've got more licks to talk about, and so we're going to get into them, and I think we're going to hop on again this weekend if possible.
There's going to always be licks, so...
But as we've seen, we responded to them. A couple Clippers licks and a Grizzlies lick, and maybe another Grizzlies lick to come.
The Grizz could be back in there.
All right, man, I'll let you go, get your day started, and I will continue with my afternoon.
All right, bro, signing off.